With a shovel in hand, she roams the universe, exploring every land, no map, no reverse. Oh, dig a 420, curious Canuck. Answers on your mind, never getting stuck. Riding waves of stars through the cosmic sea, finding who we are in the galaxy. She's got questions to ask and a fire that won't die, unraveling each task under the sky. Oh, dig a 420, curious Canuck. Answers on your mind, never getting stuck. Riding waves of stars through the cosmic sea, finding who we are in the galaxy. She's got questions to ask and a fire that won't die, unraveling each task under the sky. Oh, dig a 420, curious Canuck. Answers on your mind, never getting stuck.
Because, you know. Good morning, people. How is everyone? It's 11 a.m. here. Yeah. I woke up this morning with a really awful headache. It was right behind my right eye. Really, really bad. I could have sworn I had jinxed myself. I was talking to someone the other day and saying, oh, it's been ages since I had a migraine. This is so great. I guess it's my old age. They're disappearing. So sure as shit, I wake up with what really felt like it wanted to be a migraine. Thankfully, there's things I can do that I can try and fight it off. And I was able to do that. It's now kind of settled into a front of the head headache, very behind the eyes. So, yay. I'll take that any day of the week over an actual full-blown migraine. Oh, so thankfully, I've been able to push it into a normal one. And we are also, it's that day, we are reading Automatic Gardening. I'm so excited. Hello, cassette tapes. How you doing? But yeah, we're doing the Automatic Gardening chapter. I'm so excited. We've been talking about it. It's not in my first edition copy of Prepare, so I haven't seen it yet. I was talking to Steve the other day. I guess it would have been last Monday. And he mentioned that the next two chapters kind of go together. So what I've decided to do is we'll read this one in and of itself. It'll be a standalone video. So it'll be a little shorter than normal, but that way we can also go a little long if we need to when we're reading the next two bits. So hello, Isaac Walmart. How you doing? Oh, Johnny's streaming right now, bud. We stream at the same time on Thursday mornings. So if you want to hang out with him, he's over there. Once I finish the reading stream, I usually go and join him. But yeah, if you're looking for a Johnny K News show, he's live right now. And I'll see you over there. But in the meantime, yeah, we will do this one. It'll be its own standalone. I will show the pictures. Actually, yeah, I didn't really test that. One way or another, I will show the pictures that he's got added here. StreamYard. I never even thought about that. I was just going to take the camera and flip it around for you, but that's a pain in the ass when I could just use StreamYard. There we go. Or even better. Oh my goodness. Look at me working on the fly here. Invite. Copy. And this one. Toss it there. Nice. And then all I have to do, see, thinking, had to knock that headache out, get it adjusted, but now my brain be working. There we go. Yes. And suddenly, ideally, oh, cookies, loading, allowing access, and I wonder, oh, no. Should have really done this morning instead of puttering around, wondering about whether I should stream or not, right? But there we go. And that should be in there now. Why am I not seeing it? Shoot. Okay. Well, it's not going to work. Darn it all. All right. Well, I will. Oh, okay. There we go. 2. Enter. There we go. That works. Now I need to volume down. And okay, good. So what I need is to do this. I guess I could present this just so that you guys know what I'm doing. There. Nuts. Oh, I know. That'll do. Okay, now. That still won't do. Oh, for Pete's sakes. I wonder, can I do this? Oh, that's better. You guys get to see my other Mexican thing. My Mexican rug. Oh, for Pete's sakes. Okay, well, we will do this. I'm going to mute it because you guys are getting echo. There we go. Okay. Good. So I will just read, and when we've got the pictures, I can use this to show it to you. So good. That'll do. In the meantime, we are doing the automatic gardening. I'm very excited about this. Tablet is not. There we go. So we're going to start the read. Automatic gardening, creating a simple hydroponic system. Perhaps if I figure out how to edit videos, post, I can take all that front bit out. Okay? Just pretend it all didn't happen on live. But anyways, here we go. Automatic gardening, creating a simple hydroponic system. The idea. I love the idea of a sustainable food source for my home, but I'm a terrible gardener. Further, I live in suburbia where space is at a premium. Planting directly in the sandy soil where I live does not exactly yield wonderful food results. Nematodes love your garden and can disrupt all your ground-based attempts at food production. Going over to Epcot's Land Pavilion, I loved the tour of the grow systems they displayed and thought along those lines. My concept was to create a system that I could absolutely neglect and still it would create food for me and my family. Here are my initial criteria for the system. Oh, looks like. Hello, Dom. Thank you so much. OBS works way better. I know. I've been told. I'll get there. Um, I honestly, I wasn't thinking. I was thinking about the headache and how I needed to do this stream today and I needed to get rid of the headache. Wasn't thinking about the fact that I was going to have to show pictures. So I should have been better prepared, but I thank you so much. So yeah, going over to Epcot's Land Pavilion, I loved the tour of the grow systems they displayed and thought along those lines. My concept was to create a system that I would absolutely neglect and still it could create food for me and my family. Here were my initial criteria for the system. Simple. The system should be extremely simple. Complicated and hard to find parts are not useful for maintaining a system in the long run. Simplicity makes for ease of use and repair and aids in system resiliency. Scalable. The system should be scalable. The system should be easy to duplicate so that multitudes could produce volume. Once I got the system going, I should be able to double, triple, and quadruple the systems by duplicating the original design. And automated. The system should be automated. This means very little work should go into keeping the thing going once it's set up. Another way of thinking about it, the system should thrive on neglect. I love that idea. Simplicity and thriving on neglect. Those are really great, especially for beginner gardeners. Really, really great. My gardening skills are terrible, so I want the system to do all the work for me. It also needs to be transportable. The system should be easy to assemble so that anyone can put it together. Theoretically, if I was to move to a mountain retreat, I could relocate my whole system with relative ease. Also, big, heavy parts are a detriment to assembly and disassembly. I want everything to be easy to handle. High capacity. The system should be big. So many commercial off-the-shelf systems are fancy but small. Scaling these expensive systems would be very costly once you measure the actual food output compared to the cost. If you really want to grow food, you should have the maximum capacity. Given these parameters and some experimentation, I devised a system that works. What follows is my guide to creating this off-grid backyard hydroponic system that thrives on neglect. My automatic gardening system. The garden system. My automatic garden runs in my small backyard with minimal effort. The system is a hydroponic system. It's nice because the food bins are naturally elevated and easy to harvest without too much bending over. The only time I go out there is to harvest the greens. Otherwise, I just don't think about it. Building the system. The basic system concept involves two bins, the top bin for the growing bed and the bottom bin serving as the water reservoir. A circular cycle would flow through, allowing the water and fertilizer to be reused from the plant's automatic watering and feeding. Once you have the basic supplies, the project should only take a few hours. You will need a saw to cut PVC, a drill to make drainage holes in the PVC, a hole cutter bit for your drill to cut a hole in your top bin, and some duct tape. Parts would be 2 Rubbermaid 50-gallon stock tanks, 1 Uniseal Model U100, about 20 feet of 1-inch PVC pipe, and 9 PVC elbow joints at 90 degrees that fit on the 1-inch PVC. You need 4 hydroponic clay pebbles, 100 liters total, 1 roll of window screen fiberglass screen mesh, 1 aquarium pump, and 20 feet of rubber tubing to go from your pump to the top bin. The top bin should rest on top of the other with no support needed. Many bin options did not have sufficient strength to do this without a separate structure, but I found a solution. I use a Rubbermaid 50-gallon stock tank for livestock. The heavy-duty walls of these tanks are very thick and can support another tank placed on top. They cost about $90 each from Ace Hardware. One concept was to create a very simple system that anyone can assemble with a minimum required tools. These stock tanks fit into my car and are light enough to carry them from the car to my backyard with minimal effort. The bottom bin is the reservoir. It's filled with water. No holes or drilling are required. The water is free. If you're off-grid, I could foresee collecting water in rain barrels over time and filling the bins. Otherwise, you just use your garden hose. Once filled, I never need to add water. Florida's rainstorms naturally fill the system over time, making up for any water loss due to evaporation. Where I live, I'd probably have to add water, but it's very, very hot here and not much rain. So, the aquarium pump. An aquarium pump is the only moving part pushing water from the bottom bin to the top. The aquarium pump should have the lowest flow and be the cheapest you can find. I have seen these pumps as cheap as $10, but you should expect to pay between $15 and $20. The only limitation I have found on the cheapest pumps is that they may not be able to lift the water high enough. You will need some other miscellaneous items. You need to get some plastic tubing that connects to the aquarium pump. The connectors that attach the pump to the tubing usually come with the pump. Take the connector to the store with you when you get the tubing to ensure they match up. Tubing. Buy a bunch of tubing. A clear plastic hose is helpful if you want to see the water, if the water's flowing, but I found that it tends to get cloudy in Florida. You can use whatever fits and is cheapest. The main thing is that the tubing should match the pump's output. Place one end at the aquarium pump and the other end so it pumps into the top bin. Route the tubing from the pump to the top side of your grow bed. Cut away any excess hose and strap it down. You can use duct tape or big binder clips or a combination to secure and position the piping on the bin. Then drop the pump into the bottom bin, plug it in, and let it run. The key idea is to have the water dripping slowly from one end of the bin and flowing down to the other end of the bin. You will also need an outdoor extension cord to connect the water pump to the electrical source. Screen. In Florida, I found that the water-filled bins were mosquito collectors. Once the mosquitoes started swarming, frogs took up residence in my bins, croaking all night and keeping me awake. I purchased mesh screens to cover the bottom bin and keep out mosquitoes and frogs. Window screen fiberglass screen mesh in a roll costs $10 on Amazon. Hiya, Bad Dazzler Love. How you doing? Oh, it looks like... Oh, sorry, Dom. I didn't realize there was a second one. Thank you so much. Wait, what is the name of the book? We are reading Stephen Gosney's Prepare. I have an original edition, but I'm reading the third edition. It has this automatic gardening as well as a couple other things added in. It's quite nice. So this is actually a special thing that you get in if you buy the book now. If you want to reach out later, I can give you the information so you can actually write it down and stuff if you don't catch it all while we're reading it now. um, so yeah, you need the screen. Keep the insects. Mosquitoes are definitely a problem, and as soon as they get in there, everything else wants to come and join them. So he says, I purchased the mesh screens, window screen, fiberglass screen mesh. Sorry, in a roll. Costs $10 on Amazon. The top bin is the grow bed where you grow your plants. This area needs to be the widest and largest you can find. For simplicity, I use the same Rubbermaid bins for the bottom. So, oh, okay. Yeah, I need to see where I'm at there too. Okay. So let me scroll back up here. Okay. These are the Rubbermaid bins that he is talking about. They are stock tanks to fit into the they fit into the car and are light enough to carry them from the car to the backyard with minimal effort. Okay. They're 50. I got to scroll up. Yeah. 2 Rubbermaid 50-gallon stock tanks. Okay, here. 1 Uniseal model U100, about 20 feet of 1-inch PVC pipe, 9 PVC elbow joints at 90 degrees that fit on 1-inch pipe. Here we go. 4 hydroponic clay pebbles, 100 liters total. 1 roll of window screen fiberglass screen mesh. 1 aquarium pump, and 20 feet of rubber tubing to go from your pump to the top bin. All right. And once more, other way. That is it. It's a 50-gallon stock tank from Rubbermaid. And he uses 2 of them so they can stack on top of each other. All right. So move that for now. See, that worked. At the end of the day, I figured it out. Now I get to scroll back down here to where we were. All right. So the top bin is the grow bed where you grow your plants. This area needs to be the widest and largest you can find. For simplicity, I use the same Rubbermaid bins for the bottom. PVC pipe. I use 1-inch PVC for everything. The PVC pipe parts are quite cheap. Go to your local Ace Hardware, Home Depot, or Lowe's to the PVC section. Buy some PVC pipe and some connectors that approximate the design for the system. Hello, AP. Hello, Lexi. How are you guys doing too? AP is saying a water hose is not free, and check your jurisdiction for local zoning laws on rainwater collection. Could use gray PVC for the water piping. Like everything, though, good idea. Is there a difference between the gray and white? I mean, I'm sure there must be. I just never really thought about it. The thickness of the pipe walls. Livestock water and feed bins. Exactly, AP. Exactly. So my latest, I can take that off. My latest top bin uses a network of PVC with lots of holes drilled into the PVC to drain the bin. The only fundamental tools needed are a drill with approximately sized hole driller and a drill or saw for cutting the PVC. Use the saw to cut the PVC into appropriate lengths so that the joints form a snake that fits inside the top bin. Create a matrix of drainage with your PVC pipe. Once you lay them out, disassemble and drill holes into the PVC piping. These holes operate as drains. You need a bunch of them because as the plants grow, they naturally clog the holes with roots. Rocks can also clog the drainage, so I go overboard with my drilling, filling the PVC pipes with holes. AP, gray is normally for water pipes. Both will work fine. Gray can handle more pressure though. All right, good to know. Thank you. So is there a second? Okay. So again, add to screen. All right. So I don't know how well you can see that. But it's basically, I mean, you've got your PVC piping with the elbows, and you're basically doing, I would say, like an S shape, it looks like. And you're going to fill to fit the top bin, right? And again, lots of holes because yes, roots, dirt, tiny pebbles, they all fill in the hoses. Because it looks like it's a drip system or a slower watering system. It'll go from the top down. So that's not as big an idea, but if he's got it buried at all, you're going to have to be concerned with being able to clear it out every now and again. Back into the bottom bin. So, the only fundamental tools, create a matrix of drainage with your, once you lay them out, disassemble and drill holes. Yeah. I might be thinking ahead is my issue. Yes. I'm thinking further ahead than I need to at the moment. So that's all we need to look at the moment. So you can see there's the shadow. You've got the pipe coming across there and down and down. And you can see it looks like it comes out here and comes down again. I want to remove from screen this way. Uniseal. The PVC needs to exit the top bin so the water can flow through the pipe and back into the bottom bin. To do this, the PVC matrix must exit through the top bin side. This side drain is also simple. Since I use 1-inch PVC for everything, a Uniseal 1-inch model number U100 can pierce the side of the Rubbermaid bins and the PVC pipe fits snugly into it. You may need to lube the pipe with a squirt of WD-40 to get it through if it's too tight. The point is the seal prevents water leakage. The Uniseal grommet will tightly grip the tubing so it does not leak water out the side. To install the Uniseal, you will need a drill and an appropriately sized. Uniseal has a chart for the different drill hole sizes. For the 1-inch Uniseal model U100, drill a 1.75-inch hole with a 44.4 millimeter hole saw for your drill. Drill a hole in the side of the bin large enough to accommodate the grommet. The hole in the side of the tank should be below the rock level, but above the bottom a bit, so you will get drainage above the water level. You want the placement to be high enough above a small amount of water can circulate on the bottom of the bin under the rocks, but low enough so that the stones do not flood and float. I also found that a bit of a tilt helps the water drain from one side to the other. Bad Dads are saying gravity feed, always use lube. Always use lube. Survival tips from Dazer. So yeah, you want to make sure that it's the hole is low enough that you've got the gravity fed water, but not so low that you've got standing water at the very bottom where the rocks are. Hello, Buck. How you doing? Did Gosney ever write a book about writing books? Not yet, but he really should, shouldn't he? He's got so many different genres that he's tackled and succeeded at, I believe. It's not just like writes drivel. Um, he actually writes good books in different genres. He should be a writing book writer. AP says volcanic rock would help, but it's not cheap. Yeah, definitely. That being said, it would basically be a one-off investment in this sort of a thing. I don't think you need to replace it, you know? So that might make it worth the extra bit of expense at the start. I don't mind spending a little bit more than um, the cheapest of the cheap if it means it's going to last longer. All right, let's see. Okay, so we get to do some more. Add to screen. All right. So he's got the Comaware whole saw set, 16 pieces. Is that reading well? That doesn't really read well, does it? It's basically showing the whole saw set, though. And then scroll on the right page. Here we've got the PVC piping with the Uniseal attached to it. And then so here we've got, you can see the Uniseal right there with the L bracket or the kind of L shape where the water flows out into the lower bin. And then you're coming from the Uniseal across. This is your, there we go. There's your kind of an S shape with the elbows and the water drains. So it goes from the top through the holes in the PVC and scrolling to the overflow drain above the pebbles. Okay. Hello, Mary Jane. How you doing? Oh, hello, Connor. How you doing? Oh, it's a Connor raid. Why, thank you. Thank you, Vice Baby. You rock. We are learning about automatic gardening from Stephen Gosney's book, Prepare. We're just getting into it. Let's see here. This isn't directions on how to make some PVC bong, is it? I promise no. This is a Stephen Gosney. Actually, it even has his name there. See? Stephen N. Gosney. This is his plans. It is not a bong. It's an automatic water or hydroponic growing system. So you build it and you walk away and it feeds you and you do nothing else to it. So for a quick recap, he's started the base of the whole thing are these two 50-gallon Rubbermaid livestock tanks. They're good because they stack one on top of each other, so they're strong enough to hold each other. It works really well. Thankfully, Stephen went through a whole raft of different stuff before he came out with this final product. So we don't have to go through all the irritation that I'm sure he had to go through trying to get it to work right. I love people like him because I'm not really good at this sort of thing. You tell me what to do and I can build it, but I get lost in the planning and the attempting to build things. I start improving upon them and it ends up being some wild Frankenstein sort of deal when it should have been a simple project. So someone like Steve being able to do all this and just tell me what I need and how to do it is perfect. Absolutely perfect. Steve Gosney, like a book writing savant. Yes, he does have a lot of range. This is his very first book. I was lucky enough, I bought one of the first edition copies. Here, I'll remove that so I don't have to hold it. I got one of the first edition copies, but when I reached out to him about reading it for this program, he was kind enough to send me the most recent edition, the third edition, which included this automatic system, which is really great. I love it. So there's also a couple other bits in there that have been updated and added to, but it's this automatic gardening system that I've really been looking forward to. AP says that's only because Steve hasn't tried building one for the devil's lettuce. Well, right? I mean, I'm definitely using this so I can feed myself, but who's to say I don't multiply it like he was talking about and use one to grow food and one to grow my medical marijuana and, or different types of food, right? So who knows what you can do with this? There we go. So yeah, JK, this is the automatic hydroponic growing system. Now I've got to scroll back down and get to what veggies would I grow? Well, I love squash and I love zucchinis are my first and foremost. I grow so much zucchini because I use it for everything. After that, I love root vegetables. I love a lot of stuff. I would love to be able to do actual peppers, like bell peppers, not hot, but bell. Love bell peppers. The only tomatoes I can really eat without getting ill is the big beefsteak tomatoes. So I try to do that one pot of beefsteak tomatoes. Really, really good. The smaller and seedier, they're more acidic, which messes with my stomach. But yeah, those beefsteak tomatoes, you can almost eat them like an apple. Almost. All right. So we've got the water piping system pictured. We show how the overflow pipe works. And here we get to the pebbles. The top bin is filled, pardon me. The top bin is filled with hydroponic pebbles. I use Hydrofarm Grote GMC 25 liter, 4 millimeter to 16 millimeter clay pebbles. These are rather expensive as each 25-liter bag costs $46 from Amazon. The pebbles are the most costly part of the whole system. There you go. Just we were talking about that, eh? You can save money by buying bigger bags, but they are heavier and more challenging to maneuver from your front door delivery location to pour into the top bin. You can use up to 6 bags to fill the top bin, but I try and skimp with 4. A certain amount of soak time will be required for your rocks to settle in. They will float naturally. Let the system run for a week or so to see how it operates. Do this before sticking your plants into it. Good idea. Zucchini, I do. I'm really good at growing a lot of them. And they're not just, zucchini. I grow the big ass, larger than my arm zucchini. Big, huge. I love to bake with like zucchini bread and freeze it. Zucchini you can use in so many different ways. So yeah, they're also a really nice gift to the neighbors. One big ass zucchini per neighbor is really nice. I feel like I've succeeded. I know what you were trying to do, AP, as does Mary Jane. I'm just ignoring it. These days, everyone should grow their own food. Bill Gates wants to mess with their food. Exactly, Mary Jane. Exactly. Zucchini bread. Yes, I make the best zucchini bread. I really do. I've been making it forever. and it freezes beautifully. So the pebbles, like we were saying, you want to spend a little bit more money, get really good, like volcano rocks. I'm guessing that's basically what these clay pebbles are a similar idea. Um, oh, zucchini. Okay, zucchini. You can use. I never thought of that. I should tell my dad to do that for his pasta. Thank you. That's an awesome idea. My dad and stepmom are both completely gluten free. No, I don't really like cucumbers, or at least you always grow a lot more than I enjoy having. I don't pickle, I don't know how, and I don't have the space to do it and store it. So, yes, dragon zucchini. Big yes. So, squash getty. Okay. I'm gonna have to tell them to look at they may even know already. You never know. They're pretty smart folks, but I will mention it to them because I think he'd probably appreciate that. They've got their own garden patch where they live too. They've got I think they've got 3 lots now at the citizen growing area. Okay, yeah, Buck knows what you're talking about. He's even got a zucchini spinner to make the zoodles. Interesting. I'll have to look into that. So, soak the rocks, let the system run for a week with no plants. Just get everything going, let the rocks absorb all the water it needs so you can top it up and everything can settle. Now, growing food plants, seeds. The whole point of the system is to grow food efficiently and inexpensively. This means growing from seed. I have found the most success with parsley, kale, and collards. In the future, I need to experiment with other vegetables. I went with the plant types I did because I do not want to deal with heavy veggies like cucumbers and eggplants. I think they may need some external support. They do. As of now, the leafy greens are working great. When I grow my system, I can have a few systems strictly for experimenting. Peppers, cucumbers, lettuce are up next. You can go to your local store that sells seeds to select what you want to grow. Check the back of the seed package to see when to plant in your location. Another little item that works great in the system is scallions. When you buy a bundle at the store, just cut off the bottom bulbs and shove them into the rocks. They naturally root up and give you 4 to 5 times the original amount bought. That's a good idea. When I first grew veggies from seeds, I used a growing kit. I used the Jiffy Seeds starting greenhouse with 72 36 millimeter peat pellets for $30. Once my plants got started, I transferred them to the grow bins. However, I found that the plants did not take kindly to being moved once they got going, and I was always uncertain about when to make the move. So instead, I bought a cheaper bag of peat pellets and put them directly in the hydroponic rock bed of the grow bin, avoiding this step. Yeah. The problem with direct planting was that the seeds seemed to get a bit too soaked or not soaked enough due to their shallow placement in the rock bed. My solution was to get peat pot cups to push deep into the rocks so their base got soaked. This kept the rocks from swallowing the budding seeds and allowed the pellet to support the growing plants. The peat pots I used were home note peat pots, 120 pieces, 3.15-inch seed starting pots with drainage holes for $20. Can I get that and that? Okay. That's as good as I'm going to get it. So, oh, looks like it froze. There we go. So can you see that? So instead of just the tiny little short ones, he's got those deeper ones so you can set them in, but they're not going to settle down into the rocks too far. Where is is it? The bottom, no, the bottom of the pyramid, that's where we're at. Here are, oops, the peat pots. Okay. So instead of just putting that pellet in there, you can put them in the pot. We'll give them that stability that they need. AP says, oh, wait a minute. If your governor doesn't make buying seeds illegal like mine did. Oh, really? That's ridiculous. Why would that commie monster do that? Says Buck. She was trying to prevent, really? She was trying to prevent COVID-19 transmission by making seed purchases illegal? God, I love stupid, but that's really, really stupid. Almost all root veggies can be used to make more if you replant them and cut in half. Yep. I've got onions. I've got 2 different types of potatoes just waiting to go in. We have a God-given right to grow food. It must be unconstitutional to do that. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that's unconstitutional but gets done anyways. Are there any? Okay. We'll get to that in a minute. So, those are your pellets. You put the seed in, and those are your little pots. And that way you don't lose them. Oh, sorry. You don't lose them in the rocks. All that has been done for our own good. I know, like my illegal shovels. So you put the peat pellets directly in the peat pot, and then you put peat pot pushed into the rocks, drop the seeds into the pellet. I found that this works better than transplanting them from the seed starting greenhouse. I've noticed that as well. I've got the little grow system to start my seeds, but they do better if I can just start them in the ground than if I start them here and then move them. So, hello, MXL. How are you doing? Yeah, I'm in Canada and there's some shovels that are illegal. Yeah. It's a thing. I live in a socialist government that likes to pretend that they're a democracy. Yes. C.S. Lewis was a wise, wise man. People like her will torture us without end because they think it's for our own good. So, fertilizer. One of the great benefits of a hydroponic system is that it's very efficient at using fertilizer. At first, I used hydroponic fertilizer. The very expensive general hydroponic stuff sells for $89 for 3 1-gallon containers. This stuff works great, but I really did not know how to measure it, whether it was great or just okay or what. So I dumped a few cups of each into the bin and observed. It worked fine, but seemed like too much money. When I felt like it, or at least when I thought my plants were not growing as fast as they should, no plan at all. I bought instead Miracle Grow all-purpose plant food, which was only $25 for 10 pounds. Exactly. I just dropped that into the water bin and can't tell the difference. Exactly. Hello, Magic 8 Ball. How you doing? Different pumps. When I started, I thought I would need a strong and durable pump. I experimented with a more robust aquarium pump, but found that too much flow would flood the top bin. Johnny is all dressed up for me today. Aw, that's sweet. But I think he's actually dressing up for you guys. He was doing that long before I started being a co-host. I experimented with the timer. I figured the way to alleviate the flooding was to turn the pump on and off to allow the top bin to drain. However, this added cost and complexity. A bell siphon. I also investigated another way to control the top bin drainage. The bell siphon is ingenious. A bell siphon drains your grow bed in a flood and drains the aquaponics system without using a timer to turn your pump on and off. Using gravity, as water flows in, the water is supposed to go up and down. I experimented with the bell siphon draining system. For some reason, I could never get the thing to work. I think the floating rocks moved the system. Nevertheless, my first two top bins have bell siphons and as drains, but the water flowed out with no up and down motion. Bottom bin sizes. I experimented with a larger bin at the bottom. You can use a Rubbermaid 100-gallon, 150-gallon, or 300-gallon stock tank for livestock for the bottom bin, no problem. The disadvantages of the larger bin are cost and ability to handle or transport it. Here are current prices for the larger Rubbermaid bins from Ace Hardware. 50-gallon is about $89.99, 100-gallon for $139.99, 150-gallon will run you about $189.99, and a 300-gallon will run you $289.99. Some people also use cheaper bottom tanks, such as Aquaponics IVC totes. These can be even larger water capacity. Having had fish tanks, I know the larger the water capacity, the more stable your fish system will be. Since I have not tackled the fish part of the system, I mention this so a larger tank capacity can be had. If you are thinking of evolving your system into an aquaponic system, meaning putting fish in your bottom bin, the larger or largest bin might be your choice. Top bin options. Some folks use cheaper options for the top bins, such as children's play outdoor pools, but I just would not be happy with the flimsiness. Feel free to go cheaper if you want. There are also cheaper hydroponic pebble options. I have not tried these, but I imagine they are substantial savings there. The pebbles I chose are pretty expensive and the costliest part of the system. Cascading system. One idea I had was to link the different tanks together or create multiple beds or top bins, services with the one water reservoir. This is doable, but would require a bit more engineering on your part. Ideally, you would want the first top bin to flow into the second bin that would be a bit lower. Gravity would drain one to the other, with the last bin collecting the water and the pump recycling back to the top. Another thought would be to run multiple growing beds off of one main reservoir tank or bottom bin. This would somewhat reduce the cost since you would share the bottom reservoir tank. I am sure there are ways to do this, but it adds complexity, and I would expect some wooden structure. Weather. I live and have always lived in Florida, so my experience in other weather types must be considered. I do not know how to deal with snow or ice, so perhaps you could consider those things and incorporate the issues you see into your plans. And again, I've got actual winters and real summers, real hot summers. So make sure you're adapting this design to whatever area you're living in, your climate. Protecting your bins from wildlife. You may need to protect your bins from wildlife if you live in the country. Deer and bears are primary culprits, but other critters could be a problem. Depending on location. A greenhouse would be a great answer. I honestly, my little plot of land is a tiny little section right beside a creek, and it's really literally nothing. To me and another neighbor have kind of taken up this tiny little piece of land and turned it into a garden area. So I've got deer. I've got the raccoons kept digging up my seeds last year. That was annoying. a lot of it still grew, but it was a food lottery. I had no idea what was coming up where until it finally came up big enough to be identified. They were not planted in rows right by the tags that I stuck, like all nice and neat. No, I had stuff all over. It was interesting last year. Mhm. Yeah, moving water doesn't freeze as long as the temp doesn't get too low. See, and this thing would be outside, so for my purposes, I would not be able to use it during the winter. So it might be just as easy to just, pack up the pump and PVC piping and stack it and put it against the fence. So he says, I am unsure why, but I've not had an insect or bird problem. Perhaps it's because the crops I am growing are not appetizing to the local wildlife. Maintaining your system. I said earlier that it thrives on neglect. I visit the system maybe a couple of times a week. I look at it to ensure the water is flowing and there are no large sticks or leaves clogging anything, and then just leave it alone. Leaves fall onto the growing bed, so when I go to harvest, I pluck them out. Maybe. If any weeds or sticks get in there, they're simple to remove. Roots eventually grow into the piping. Between growing seasons, I clean out the bins and piping. Once the season is over, you can take down the whole system to clean the roots out from the bottom. The big issue is preserving the maximum number of hydroponic rocks. Where do you put the stones when you're cleaning out your system? Each season, I buy 2 more Rubbermaid 50-gallon stock tanks. Transfer the hydroponics rocks from the old bin into the new one. This allows you to clean out the piping in the older system while preserving your expensive hydroponic pebbles. Once the old bin is clean, reassemble and transfer the rocks back to the old system. When I'm done, I take the opportunity to build a new set of bins, growing the system one at a time. There you go. Pack it, stack it, and rack it, right? Mary Jane, neglect. It's my style, right? Easy peasy. That's what I love about this plan. The economics of growing. The system cranks along and grows. With 3 bins, when it's running, it produces more greens than my family of 3 can eat with regular dinners. My wife freezes the excess. Raccoons and bears looking at the kale like, what the fuck, human? No one eats this. I actually like kale. And I really prefer the leafy as opposed to like the head lettuce. Head lettuce. I've never really liked it. Don't know why. I just never really liked it. I prefer the nice leafy, like the kales and spinach and um, not iceberg lettuce. Yeah, either which way, leafy. The cost of veggies at the supermarket is such that this project does not involve savings. Instead, it's a hobby. Theoretically, you could multiply this to multiply your production of edible plants. I have not researched how many bins you would need to become genuinely self-sufficient in vegetable production. You'd need a few. Um, that being said, if you've noticed buying vegetables at the store, the vegetables that you buy are not right. Have you noticed that? A lot of the vegetables I get, um, they last too long, and they're not crisp and crunchy like it should be. Romaine lettuce, thank you. That's the one. That's the one I was trying. Trying to remember. Saw the kale eat the bears, right? Although bear, from what I understand, is a little bit on the gamey side. So I'm gonna stick to hunting the ghetto deer. That's my plan. If the shit hits the fan, I'm gonna survive off of ghetto deer that I catch with my crossbows, which I haven't purchased yet because I don't know if they're fully legal or not. No, I'm kidding. They're totally legal. I just haven't gotten them yet. One thing at a time. But I am totally planning on surviving off the ghetto deer. We've got a nice herd that comes through here. We've got last year there was a 3-point buck, and there was another one with just that first little bit. So you knew he was a buck, but that was about it. JK, I think I shared in Discord. I shared one of the moms. I was trying to get a picture of her, but I didn't realize she was taking a piss. So I shared it on the Discord. I'm pretty sure it was Vice's Discord. But I do. I've got a nice herd of deer that come through here on the regular, summer and winter. Okay. Carnivore animals are too gamey and full of parasites. Also really cute. Dazzer. Meat is meat. Bear, deer, rabbit, and Dazzer. You say that, but you're a Brit. You don't know. Like I exist with bear and deer and moose and all sorts right there in my yards. It's not. Oh, black bear's after berry season is phenomenal. You're telling me, my goodness. Um, and I bet you right after berry season would be a good time to hunt a bear. They taste a lot less gamey, I'll bet. But yeah, meat is not meat. There's different types of meat. You know how lamb is kind of gamey, whereas beef steak is not at all. Huge differences in meats. Go get deer and rabbit. Yeah. But either which way, I think the system in the long run will save me money on buying vegetables. There's a good food basket program, so you're supposed to pay $30 a week. We'll get you a new basket each week of fresh vegetables, but you don't get to choose what vegetables you want. And the price has gone up $30 a week. That's almost half of my grocery bill for the month for vegetables that I don't know what I'm going to get, and we'll have to figure out what to do with them. Doesn't make much sense anymore. Something like this is going to make a lot better sense, and being a hydroponic system with the fertilizer and everything, you're going to get a much more bigger bulk, bigger production. So end of day, I know what I'm growing, and it's not going to be rubbery. It will go off sooner, but it'll actually be real vegetable. Oh. Also, some calculations would be to figure out how I could become completely independent of veggie markets. I suspect I have a long way to go, but it's better to experiment now while it's a fun hobby than at a future date when it might be a real survival asset. The future. More variety. To date, I have focused on greens such as kale and collards, scallions, and parsley. I want to experiment with larger plants and add more plant variety. I avoided things like cucumbers and eggplant because I foresee the heavy vegetables requiring some sort of support. Solar power. I would love to take the whole thing off grid. This would involve some solar panels and a solar generator. One system I was looking at is a Jackery solar generator 1000, 102,000 WH capacity. I know it, but it's not coming out. Hello, Pachyderm. He's my favorite element. You do know that's what this is, eh? This is, well, it's on me. This is a jade elephant. And he's got his trunk up. I'll have to show you sometime. But yeah, he's my good luck. I'm allergic to fish, so I can't eat fish. It doesn't help me. Watt hours. Thank you, AP. My brain just went boop, gone. Watt hours. I was actually looking at some Jackery generators at one point. They were one of the better companies, I was told. So he was looking at the Jackery Solar Generator 1000, 102,000 watt hour capacity with 2 times solar saga, 100 watt solar panels, 3 by 1000 watt AC outlets, a portable power station. That system currently sells for $16,050 on Amazon. Given that the power consumption is practically nil, this is a lot of money for very little return. The only advantage is that in a long-term survival situation, food production needs electricity. Remember also that this part of your system could be stolen. Defense of your homestead is a topic covered in other parts of this book. The aquaponics system. In aquaponics, you add fish to the equation. Aquatic features such as fish create waste that feeds the plants while the water cycles continuously through the system, like how a lake works in nature. This is a great way to add protein while removing some fertilizer additions. Most people use tilapia since they have the highest meat production for fish food input into the system. The problem is that this adds a bit of a complication to the overall system. I imagine it would require much more care than my neglected system, so I've not taken that leap. Yeah, so there you go. It is possible. The system as it stands right here is not enough. It's a good start, but you'd have to figure out what would be needed to keep the fish. But it would be definitely easily turned into an aquaponics system. If you have a fresh running stream, use a turbine driven by the water. I know the only problem is with the creek in the middle of summer, it's barely a trickle. Like it's a river. This time of year it'll go up just about deep as my knees. But in the summer it's down to a trickle. Tilapia love to eat the waste as well. That's cool. So it's self-sustaining. I've heard of that, poignant pachyderm. We added fish to the horse troughs to eat the algae, but in hydro systems, it's interesting. Yes, because this is a very small pond water pump. It's not going to be sucking the fish in. It's a very, very small, lightly powered. So you won't worry about having the fish get into the hydroponic system. But yeah, I've heard about putting the fish in the horse troughs to keep the algae down. I've heard of that. Aquaponics. Yeah. It's an interesting idea. My buddy downstairs, he's passed now, but he used to talk about that. He wanted to make on his land, he was planning on building a series of 3, like a lake and a pond and a much smaller pond, and have a big aquaponics system running through the whole of it. Okay. The nice thing about a Jackery or a Bluety and any other solar generator is that they don't make noise like a gasoline power generator. Good point. Very good point. You named them. That's awesome. That's awesome. So it is possible, but he hasn't taken it that step as yet. And there you have it. I hope this document gives you some ideas for your homestead automatic garden. I think I will go out and plant a different seed to see how it does. God bless. So there you go. That is automatic gardening. Next, we will start part 3, the top of the pyramid. That is for another day, though. As I said, woke up with what was really wanting to be a migraine. I'm battling it. It's just a headache at the moment. I'm not going to let it become a migraine. But it's just as well. This is a shorter, all-in-one, just about the automatic growing system. Next week, we will come back again and start the top of the pyramid, preparing for emergencies with faith. So thank you guys and gals for hanging out with me. I will be going over to Johnny's now. Oh, I did answer that. MSO rather. I said hello. Good. Make sure I'm not ignoring anyone. Mary Jane, that was very interesting. I'm into this subject. Well, thank you. Yeah, Steve's got a lot of good stuff in this book. Really a lot of good stuff in that. Automatic gardening, super simple. I showed you the pieces and showed it to you written out, so you can come back to the video when building your own. If you need a reference, you've got this for you now. And I am planning on doing one of these myself this year, because why not, right? So we'll see how far I get. I'll see you guys at Johnny's. Who's Johnny? She said, and smiled in her special. I love that song, Buck. Let's see here. Oh, I hit the wrong button. At there we go. Just hitting LLC. This is Buck. AP, you've been there. Buck and Connor and a few others. Johnny Crutches. I actually do Mondays and Wednesday mornings. I co-host with him on his show. So same time as this stream. He goes 5 days a week. I join him on Mondays and Wednesdays. And then if my reading stream ends in time like today, I usually head over there and hang out again. So yeah, feel free to join me. Follow me on over there. And it was great seeing you guys. I will talk to you next time. Or actually, I will talk to you guys at 4 o'clock this afternoon, my time, Pacific, when I'm talking to you. So yeah, I'll see you then. Bye.
Topics change from day to day. Science, art, or history's play. No path too twisted, no trail too thin. She dives right in where to begin. Nothing's too obscure. She'll dig and dig a spirit so pure. From ancient lore to future dreams, every question finds its gleam. Wherever she goes, answers will follow. Into the depths or up high in the hollow. Curiosity calls. She's ready to find solutions to everything on her mind.